Planning Board for February 1st, 2024. Everybody please rise to the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, our meeting tonight is a little bit unusual. We don't have a set agenda. There's no agenda posted on the town board or the town's website. There are no pending matters scheduled for February 1st, the regular meeting. But the planning board will be reviewing some new applications received following the January 18, 2024 regular meeting. So our first item on our agenda is the review of the minutes of January 18th, our last meeting. So we had an opportunity to read those minutes, and are there any changes, corrections, or amendments?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
There's a motion to accept the minutes as submitted. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, under our new business tonight, I think the first is going to be the riser issue. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, apparently we had a little bit of a problem with the approval at the last minute, at the last meeting, excuse me. And there was some information on the drawings and the site plan survey that basically were incorrect, that you were not the owner of certain properties and parcels on that. Is that correct?
Ownership changed in the middle of our meetings. My daughter, I deeded the property, the house property to my daughter. But as it is on the application, it says that the owner, the applicant is fully aware and authorized to do it. So I was authorized to do the subdivision. And I handed in a letter from the new owners, stating the fact that we need that. But that was the only,
And this parcel is, I think, identified as lot number 12 on the drawing.
yeah,
See, I don't have my drawing because I submitted it back to the office
I can get them all back out again.
for stamping. I think that might be a good idea.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Everyone, if you come up in the phone, never know.
Now, Andy and I discussed this today on the phone, and we realized that there was on the drawing, there's several parcels that are listed as yours and not yours. And we have to verify that you are not the one who does not. So I'm thinking that we're leaning towards a new set of drawings that would reflect all the property owners.
so I gave that my copies too, so I didn't have one. But,
Right, so if I can review it, Henry, just on the title block that Rod put together, it's still listing lands of Henry Riser, lot 12, okay?
okay,
And then up underneath the, let's see, under the notes, number 7, he's got deeds of record. He's got to add the deed that transferred out lot 12, just so just so the map's correct. So there's no issue in chain of title for the current owners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I apologize for that. The closing wasn't supposed to happen until after. And, what happens with closings, when you can get them, you don't take them. So it ended up happening, and I didn't realize that. There's notes on here. Gonna affect it.
We'll just review that real quickly, because we got this.
Sure, so there's really no change to the, or not, no change at all to the lot line or what was approved. But what does need to be updated on the map, just to make it clear in terms of title, is if you look at the title block in the lower right-hand corner, it's listing this as land of Henry Reiser, lot 12. But because of the date of the approval, Henry Reiser's not the owner of lot 12, so we want to make that clear. You do still own the remaining lands.
Yes.
So the title block will include Henry Reiser, but it's got to include the owners of lot 12.
That's,
Or Rod can do whatever he wants to do with the title block, it's just, it can't indicate you're the owner of lot 12. And then under the notes, you see note number 7, deeds of record. There's a couple of deeds listed there. What needs to be added is the deed at the end of December out of Henry into the 2 new owners. That should be listed as well. That way, when the map gets recorded, the chain of title is very clear. There's not going to be an issue with either lot 12 or your remaining land going forward. Nothing else with the approval changes. It's still the same lines. We just need to have a corrected map.
What about note number 1?
Under map references, Linda, or?
Right. Not map reference, but note number 1.
Well, that's a fair point. It saves for the
Sole
exclusive use of Henry Reiser. That may want to be updated too.
yeah, so I'll have Brad read through that and make sure.
You know, reviewing this further, I think the approval itself is fine. We just need updated and corrected maps indicating the current owner with appropriate notes.
I got a problem with what we did the other night, the last meeting. Those lands that are south of the driveway, between the driveway and lots 1, 2, 3, and 4, you're not, the only way you can build on them is sell them as lots, not 1, 2, 3, or 4, but the land above it. Now, between the driveway and 1, 2, 3, 4, down
The remaining ones.
that remaining land,
This land?
yeah. If you plan on selling lots on the, below that driveway, you're gonna have to have driveways that go all the way around that pond, because you have no access to a town road.
Well, that's why there's, easement that's on the map here. You have to use this existing driveway, the area that has the lines go through it. And right on here, it says that, egress and ingress for Henry Reiser. So the remaining of this land can use this property, egress and ingress.
You can't sell any lots unless you have deeded out to a town road.
The turn driveway into a road.
Well, he doesn't own the driveway anymore.
The entire parcel does have the land here that's on the road frontage. So I see what you're saying, if you wanted to build a house here, you'd have to work out something here to get across the driveway or go all the way around. But
Yeah, but I think what Dave is saying is, you can't lop off a piece there and sell it as a lot, because it does not have access by
Right.
itself to a road.
Well, that's basically the same as saying, you know, up here, I understand what you're saying, but it's like saying I can't build a house here without making the driveway go all the way back up here. So
Well,
it's understandable.
I'm just, the way I understand that we do this, you could put a house or sell a lot and in that, what I'm talking about. But you're gonna have to deed a piece of ground that goes all the way around the back of that pond and back out to Plant Road. Right?
I suppose you could do that. It would be the kind of largest flag lot I've ever seen, but.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have any way to get to a town road. He cuts
There's
a-
no way to get there. He doesn't own that driveway.
He doesn't own the driveway.
Correct.
I mean, he may have an agreement with his daughter to drive up and down the driveway, but he can't develop anything on, I mean,
Well, he could build a house there, but he could not subdivide and create a lot, which you ask for a building permit unless that lot had frontage on a
Right, I
public road.
understand that.
So your remaining lands do have frontage on a public road. So
he does,
build
I
on
mean,
it,
technically
it's
it's
legal.
legal. It's legal, but
but you've laid it out in such a way that it looks to create a lot in proximity to lots 1 through 4, let's say. It's
Yeah,
problematic because of the lack of frontage on a public road.
Yeah,
And
if
not
we were
having a
ever gonna do
realistic
something
driveway.
on it, If we were ever gonna do something with this for
Yeah.
lots and everything, you would probably include this with the project, but right now as it stands, we're
Yeah.
not planning on anything.
yeah, but you just sold it to your daughter, right?
Yes, my daughter has title to this house right now.
Well, that's, yeah, absolutely, you've identified the issue. It could impair the ability to develop in the future unless
This,
you can figure that out.
You have the ability
usually
to,
want to get into the financing in terms, but this transaction was the creative financing to create some funds, so it's not gonna be a long term.
Yep.
I have this lot back in my name at some point, so that never going all those events.
I think Dave was just
But I
pointing out,
appreciate bringing
the
that.
way
to
the
my
thing is
attention.
now, you would have a problem, subdividing that along there, because there's no access to public road unless you want to put a road all the way around the pond.
The other lot that I was talking about doing when I originally came, that
Brothers,
was right here where the existing driveway came in. So that lot was gonna be right here. Still leaving, an access for the remainder of land. And then that lot was gonna be right here. So it didn't have anything to do with this side. So I don't know if you were thinking that that was a
No.
lot. It was-
no, I went by there the other day and I looked and I'm like, well, if he wants to put something on the right side of that road there, I mean, you're a developer, you sell lots and cut up land, and you're gonna, unless you turn that driveway into a town road. But I don't know if you want to spend that kind of money.
no, lot one could be cut down in its
Who owns
length
lot
and you
one?
could offer frontage and that.
You own lot one?
No.
Do you own any of lot 1 through 4?
No.
Okay.
All right. I brought it up
Yep, noted.
10 years from now, maybe a different board. All right,
As long as you're changing the map, can you check, the owners of that adjacent lot at Penny Lane? Should be Isager, not Sager. Isn't that where Isager is?
I'm not sure if they still do, but check it.
Well, how about Isager, Eric Isager? It's just a typo, as long as you're changing the map.
Yeah.
check with, Rob, and double check that.
What's the name, Wayne?
You see where Pennyroyal Lane comes up, and there's the adjacent lot, to lot 4?
Yeah.
I believe that should be Alexander.
Oh,
It's just the name is spelled wrong.
Starts with an
Not a
I.
big deal, but it's not correct.
Starts with an I.
I can't find out for you.
Now, moving forward here, Andy, what action has to be taken by the board? None?
I think it's been noted that the map just needs to be corrected and that the waiver itself has been approved. There's no change to the lot lines, there's no change to that action. It's just we need a corrected and updated map, the correct owners and notes.
So when that gets submitted, it'll be stamped and it'll be signed.
Correct.
There's no other further action.
That would be my opinion, because the board has already approved the actual waiver. We're
Is
just
there-
correcting the map.
Is everybody okay with that? I mean, does everybody understand that? All right. Then once you get those corrections made, I want to make sure they're reviewed and everything is in order.
Yeah, obviously subject to review by the building department and chairman before the
Okay. Have any questions, Aaron?
No, I understand the changes that need to be made.
Okay. All right.
All right, so I take this one, and then let no one's on there, right?
Yeah, take them.
We can take them off from now. We're going to try on that. Because I have a signature on these.
All of
Andy
them,
does not.
all of them do, yeah,
They're all no good though.
exactly.
I would prefer that they be destroyed.
Sounds good. Hand them all back.
You hand those all back? Unless somebody,
Except
there's
for
a burning
Wayne.
desire to have one.
I'm gonna take them all back, and then I'll bring back new ones that we'll do in the next up.
That's up to you. I don't think you can see any of that. You probably have to keep one to make sure that it's correct. All right, and we're all set, you're all set.
One time while I'm here,
Yes.
I'm helping out a friend of mine, John Tygbush. He has a piece of property that he wants to submit an application for. And just, I spoke with Wendy and Blake in the office, and they weren't sure how to proceed forward. So since I was here tonight, they said to ask you. They did a waiver back in 2020. It was a lot line adjustment, and it was for the father's property. And although his property was involved in it, so he wants to know if we can do the waiver or if it has to be a subdivision because of the 7 years thing, even though the application was in Frank, the estate, not John Tygbush.
What does he want to do?
He, there was a 2-acre lot that was a lot line adjustment that was added to his property. It had a garage on it, and initially what he wanted to do is have that as a separate lot, and then the garage was on it. So they didn't think that they could do it because you can't have a garage on a separate lot. So what John wanted to do was just leave it, the garage on his property, and then just create the new 1.5-acre lot. And I have a map there. if you want to look at it.
So basically, it's a second lot line.
It's it's a lot, the first one on his,
Well, the first one was actually a creation of a lot, correct? Okay.
so here's, right, does everybody want, I have copies for everybody.
Yeah, why don't you
We're gonna look at it.
That was the one where I had to go and define what was the front of his house.
New business? New business?
Just make up that folder.
I got the copies.
So we can determine whether the accessory structure was behind the primary or not.
Yeah. So if you see where it says lot, right across the street was Frank Flatbush's, complete Frank Flatbush's house. And this, lot line adjustment was done in 2020, and it added a whole piece of property, approximately 2 acres. It attached it, it basically erased the line on John's existing lot, and just added that to it. So what he wants to do is leave the garage, everything that was about that, but just create a new line to create that new lot right there. So he wanted to do a waiver of subdivision to create that one new lot. That way the garage would still be on his property. Right now, it's about a 2 acre parcel, so a half acre would stay with that garage and be, you know. And basically what he'd be doing is just adding that one new line, creating a new lot, which would be about an inch and a half.
Is the garage now standalone?
No, you don't see John Tybush's house, but that land hook that's through there, that's where the principal structure is. It's not shown, it should be in the lower right of this
Yeah, it's
survey.
in red, that little square box
Okay,
there.
okay.
Yeah, that's John's house, it's in the
All right, yeah, it's
cul-de-sac
shown.
that goes around it.
Yeah. And the driveway goes completely around it, and the town does drive the plow completely around it.
So it wouldn't change anything with the garage, you know, it'd still be on his parcel. It would just, create the lot that he initially thought that's what he was doing back then, but the state is the one that did the subdivision, he wasn't a part of it.
Just to be clear, in 2020, was it?
Yes.
We created this lot there that's listed as lot. Now he wants to put it back into the lot across the street, is that correct?
Well, I believe that property, that acre and a half was attached to Frank Tybush's lot across the street. So when he did the lot line adjustment, they kind of drew a line down the middle of the road there, and then plus eliminated the line on John Tybush's.
Yeah, so next to John's property, didn't really create
So
a
this,
new lot.
so this went into John Tybush's property. And now they want to take that lot, move it over, bring it back to Frank.
So
He wants to sell it.
he wants to make it a separate lot standalone.
Okay, so now that is a,
Is
that is a
Tybush
true
Lane
waiver.
a town road?
I don't know, I can't access it.
It's a good sized parcel, acre and a half.
Yeah,
got
access
the road
it.
frontage and everything around it, the other of the house.
I wish
Let me try
land
this.
is maintained by the town. Just, town maintains that road?
Yes,
Yes.
They paved it this year.
All the way up to the end?
right around his house.
Really?
Drive the plow right
The whole
around.
thing?
They did the first time, but they decided this time that
Probably need another house in there, they'll pay the taxes to pay for that road. But the big question now is if it could be submitted as a subdivision waiver or a minor subdivision. That was what was asking tonight.
I think on the outside, it sounds like it's a minor subdivision. But I'm not What do you think, Wayne?
I think we have to look at what the last waiver did. Didn't create another lot. It just appended a portion of a piece of property to an existing lot.
Well, that's, that brings up a good point. We have this rule that, you can't do a waiver, second waiver within 7 years. But if it's not creating another lot, and it's strictly a lot line adjustment, there's no other lot created, is it truly a waiver of the subdivision or a lot line adjustment?
Well, under the Brunswick's subdivision regulations, it has to be considered a waiver because there is no such thing as just a standalone lot line adjustment. Subdivision regulations have waiver, minor, and major. So technically, you did exercise your waiver of subdivision authority.
Okay.
Having said that, Wayne's correct. No new lot was created.
That's what we went through with Henry on around his house. We did the waiver and then we held off on the plot for his brother.
Mhm.
And that's supposed to be a minor.
That's correct.
So it's the same.
It's probably the same thing, that the waiver has already been executed. Now,
Well, the only difference is that was a different property. There's been 7 years for each property. This is John's property now, that was Frank's property, so it was technically, the application came in under Frank that much, so that's why we're thinking.
It's the same property though.
it's just different owners, it's the same lot.
Right. The rule would otherwise apply even if all the properties have been deeded third party and they wanted to come in house.
Yeah.
I get that.
Well, we had that on Bald Mountain Road. And that gentleman came in.
That's
50
correct.
lots, so-
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it would have to be treated as a minor.
Okay, that's what we're looking for, just clarification.
Yeah, I think, to deviate from that would be, wrong, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I think, does everybody agree with that?
I have to recuse myself.
It's a minor.
Okay,
And Ty Bush Lane is not a deeded roadway. It is a highway by use.
There you go. Does that answer any other questions you have, Henry?
Nope.
So you own the floor tonight.
Take the full advantage. Yeah, we're gonna.
All right. Now, is there any other new business? That's right, there's one. I mean, do you have any other new business, Henry?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Everybody.
Okay, you too.
The only thing I have for the Hoosick and Carroll's Grove Road storage units are that the survey crew is out shooting topos. And they still have not gotten information from the New York State DOT regarding what the setbacks are.
Okay. At our last meeting, I had received a letter that was dated back in 11/14/23. This was from that Zachary Forleo. If you recall, he's the one on Pinehurst Avenue, 502 Pinehurst Avenue, that wanted to have the Federal Arms dealership there. And one of the restrictions was that there was no drive-up customers or anything like that. It was strictly a mail order. He would get the firearms. Any permits would be handled through an area of the local brick and mortar store. Well, since then, there's been a few changes with the laws and so forth and so on in New York State. And he is requesting that he be allowed to have at least one customer per week at his business, which is his residence of 502 Pines Avenue. We discussed this with him in the office. I went through some of she got the previous minutes, what was approved, so forth and so on. It was specified that there be no walk-up customers. But his customers are basically taking delivery of product that was ammunition and firearms that are mail ordered by mail. And he has run into some problems with getting the proper documentation through another dealer. Background checks and everything, they're giving them a push back on because they think he's stealing business. So he's having it very difficult to go through the proper background checks and everything. But now the background checks in New York State do not rely strictly on the FBI. It's now the New York State troopers who do the background check. So he has some arguments about it, and he'd like to come before the board. I don't know where it is with the process to get an amendment to a special use permit. So I just thought I'd let you know that will probably be coming up somewhere in the near future. Other than that, I don't have anything else. What would be our agenda for our next meeting?
Henry, if he has the changes done to the prints, unless we don't require the meeting for that, we can just review and tell it in my
I
office.
don't think that's a meeting.
All right, then.
We'll do that within the office.
I'll call you up when I get those, Russ.
Okay.
So
You know, it would be up to
Nothing
the,
from Green News, nothing definitive on that?
nothing, haven't heard anything. Dave's correct, though, we did have a tentative for February 18th for Russ Reeve and the Sillis property on Cole Lane. We'll see if that's honored.
Okay.
I have received no new prints on it.
You're talking about February 15th, is that
They're 15th, yes. 14 plus 1 is 15.
And what about ones with veterinary?
Gosh, I don't know what happened with that. I went up and did a fire inspection there, and they got a beautiful layout of the changes to the building. And from what I understand, she's trying to find another engineering firm.
Okay. Let's see. The Reifenberg one? Is there any-
Haven't received anything from those guys either.
That's that East Park, and the Stonehurst, that's
Sillis.
Sillis. Okay.
Where's Walmart stand with their outdoor storage or whatever they want to do in the parking lot?
I believe the town board denied that.
No, so the town board did approve
Sales.
there was a preliminary decision, the way the current code on PDDs and PDD amendments, there's an initial sketch plan decision. And so what the town board did in their sketch plan decision was to say, we think that part of the application that called for the outdoor sales, seasonal sales, closer to Hoosick Road, does warrant further review, come in with a full application to that. But we do not feel that the storage units on the McChesney Ave side warrants further review. We're not interested in obtaining it. So it's my understanding, that was in December, and I haven't seen anything further than that.
Wayne, do you have anything to add on the traffic study for the Chick-fil-A?
We did, well, I did submit the review comments for the stormwater. And they're going through those now.
Yes.
Did get an email from Bullard Engineering that wanted to have a meeting between the town, the county, and DOT, to discuss the comments, last round of comments on the tracks.
Okay. I believe that would meeting has been scheduled. That meeting has been scheduled. That's the one.
No,
No,
not, no.
not to my knowledge.
Okay.
There's some other meeting going on, I'm not sure what that's.
Okay. I think that's about it. We don't have any firm agenda then.
No, we do not.
Oh, check on Russ and see if he's ready for this.
Okay.
He has to be moved to that, so I would hope that he is preparing for that.
I would suggest that we firm this up by at least the Monday before the meeting. I've been getting some comments from other people about posting the agenda, what's on the agenda.
The day of.
da-da-da.
The day of the meeting?
Yeah, and so forth and so on. If we could
Yeah.
kind of move that up a little, I think. How do you feel about that, Andy, as far as at least a few days before they have to bring up their line?
Many municipalities put them on at most the day before the meeting.
Yeah.
That's not an unusual procedure.
Okay.
Day out is not unheard of either, but
Yeah.
it's unusual to have agendas on several days before the meeting.
Okay.
But that's up to the board, however you want to handle that.
No, I just, just telling you what I'm hearing.
Mhm.
So, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.